Hey guys, so I had a change of plan today. We were going to be talking about self-love. That's going to have to be the next one. I saw a video today about what are we teaching kids in terms of fighting, right? Um, and a guy that I respect very, very much. His name is Chris Burkett. He said he was going to essentially teach his kids not to be fucking bullied, right? Don't be there when possible, but don't be a victim, kind of thing. And I strongly agree with that. I think people these days are all about we shouldn't be fighting and blah 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 blah. Do you know why kids get bullied? Because they don't stand up for themselves. You get these asshole kids, whatever the situation may be for them, but they decide that they're gonna fuck with people smaller than them, and it could even be your child who is getting bullied, or your child could be the bully. If your child's the bully, if if it were me as a parent, I'm going to teach my child to punch your kid in the fucking mouth. Ain't no two ways about it. If you can just leave, great. But if someone invades your personal space or puts their hands on you, beat them the fuck up. And I'm gonna teach my kids the capability to or the ability to do that. Um, because I'm not gonna have my kids come home and I have to take them to the hospital, or I get a phone call from a hospital or the school saying that they had to go to the hospital because some kids out there decided that they were going to beat my kid to a pulp. Because kids take shit too far. It's just the way that it is. It's how it goes. I had my ass kicked quite a few times growing up, and then I learned how to use my hands correctly, and that didn't happen anymore. Um, so the day that I do have children, I absolutely fucking refuse to let your kid fuck with my kid in a way that's going to harm my child. I don't give a shit if it's my son, if it's my daughter. I don't care. I don't give a shit. They're going to know how to use their hands and they're going to learn don't be a victim. If you have to, put your hands on somebody, but only if you have to. That's the caveat there, right? Only if you have to. Because I'm also not going to raise my kid to be a fucking bully. That's not okay. We don't do that. I don't give a shit what the situation is. You don't be a bully. If you want to be a snarky little asshole sometimes, that's fine. I don't really give a shit. You hurt somebody's feelings for speaking the truth, but you did it in a sarcastic way. Cool. I don't care. The moment your kid puts their hands on somebody, your kid is now a bully and the initiator in a fight. And if your kid happens to get his ass whooped or her ass whooped because they started a fight, that is your problem. That is your kid's problem. You have something going on that you need to address ASAP. No kid, generally, no kid just wakes up one day and decides that they're going to bully somebody, right? Nobody. That is not inherently in our brains. Now, granted, horseplay and boys will be boys shit, like we wrestle and we fuck around. Yeah, sure, but to be a straight up bully, no, absolutely not. I refuse to believe that people are born inherently bad, inherently to be that fucking bully. And sometimes those kids grow up to be that bully and they never get punished for it. They never get their ass kicked because of various reasons. But we should be raising our kids not to bully one another, but also don't be a fucking victim. You don't have to turn the cheek when someone punches you in the face. That's not how that goes. I don't give a shit what your Bible says. I don't give a shit what your mom says. I don't give a shit what your grandmother says. If someone punches you in the face, you have full right to punch them back. And I would even venture to say you have full right to do it even harder, more deadly. Don't kill someone, but like make it very hard for them to do it again. Don't paralyze someone, don't ruin their life. But if I get punched in the face, I'm not going to stop hitting them until they stop moving. And they will stop moving after a few hits. I know how to do that. It's not difficult. You displace the jaw or you hit someone in the head the right way or in the right spot. That's how it happens. Because when you get knocked out, it's your brain got shaken hard enough to where it has to restart, right? Like a computer, kind of. You have to do restarts on your computer. Your brain does that when it gets hit hard enough. It might take a minute for it to do the reboot, but that's how that goes. Um, but if someone gets in your personal space, are you going to ask them nicely to get out of your personal space? If they come up to you in an aggressive manner, in a violent manner, even, and they, they have ill intentions, are you going to ask them nicely to just leave you alone? Because I almost guarantee you they won't, just because you ask them nicely. That's not how that goes. Nobody who has ill intentions to harm you is going to just simply go away because you asked them to. That doesn't make any fucking sense. Do you think people get murdered? Conscious people get murdered and they ask them to go away nicely? No, they fucking didn't. No one who has ever gotten murdered ever has ever been like, "Can you just go away and leave me alone?" That's not how that works. Granted, that's an extreme, but that's still a violent intention, right? So what are you doing teaching your kids to be out here like turn the cheek? Let's not. You're getting in trouble if you get into a fight. No. The only time my kid is going to get in trouble in a because of a fight is if my kid started it. If my kid just went up and punched somebody in the mouth and they were being a bully, I'm kicking the shit out of my kid. Not actually, but like you're not getting away with that. I'm not going to allow my child to be a bully. I'm not going to allow my child to be an initiator unless absolutely necessary. It makes no sense for us to raise kids to be victims. And that's what I'm understanding is that's what we're doing. That's not what we should be doing, because if you are raising victims, they're in that victim mentality that causes a whole lot of problems outside of physical violence. That is a whole lot of life issues that come with that down the road. People in the victim mentality don't know how to claim accountability. They don't know how to solve their own fucking problems because they're the victim in every situation. That doesn't make any sense. Where does that get you? Really? Where does it get you? Where in the fuck are you going to get in life being the victim in every situation ever? Granted, you get your shit rocked, you are minding your own business and someone comes up and punches your shit in. Okay. Sure, you are a victim of an attack, but are you going to stick in the mentality of I was a victim, or are you going to just punch the motherfucker back in the mouth? What are you going to do? Which one sounds like it's going to take you further in terms of attitude? Granted, in a professional setting, you can't just punch people in the mouth. And you can't just go off on your boss whenever they're being an asshole, because we have sensitive fucking people out here running corporations who can't take criticism, let alone someone going off on them. That's Also a reality, unfortunately. But there, when it comes to a physical act or someone deciding to test your gangster and see if you're going to stand up for yourself in a verbal altercation, you don't need to be a victim in that situation. You have to be the one to respond in a way that's going to make them shut the fuck up. You know how I know that? Because I was the kid who got bullied as a child. I was the one who either got beat up or got made fun of for every little fucking thing. I was a weird kid, but like nothing warranting just being bullied relentlessly. It was kids I didn't even fucking know. And then I got in a few fights. I started standing up for myself. And guess what didn't happen anymore? I didn't get fucking bullied. In fact, by the time I got to high school, I was friends with everybody or almost every type of clique you can imagine. Nerds, football players, wrestlers, fucking the goth kids, the emo kids, the band kids, the choir kids. I was friends with everybody from groups, from different groups, because I was always real cool with people until I was having a shitty day, because at the time I didn't know how to emotionally regulate. But I was never a dick to people for nothing. I was never the type of person to just straight up take my anger out on people. Did I just sometimes ignore people? Sure, but I was never the one to go out and bully somebody or pick on somebody because I was fucking mad. That's not how that works either. Just because you have a shitty day doesn't mean that you have to drag everyone down with you. What sense does that make? Oh, misery loves company, right? That's the common quote that I hear. Misery loves company. That doesn't make any fucking sense either. In what world does dragging everyone down with you because you're having a shitty day, does that get you anywhere? Please tell me. Just because you couldn't stand up for yourself, or your mother told you, or your father told you that you couldn't stand up for yourself or you were going to be in trouble, doesn't mean we need to be raising a whole new generation of victims. That's fucking stupid. I don't give a shit. I refuse to be that parent ever. I refuse to be the person to send out another living being out in the world one day to be a victim in any facet of the word. My child doesn't get to be the victim. That will never be a role that they have to worry about. That will never be a role that they have to play. Whether that be because I do what I need to do as a parent to keep them safe, or I teach them in the moments that I'm not there to keep themselves safe. This soft parenting bullshit that you guys are pushing doesn't make any sense to me either, because that doesn't teach them anything. Now, if you sit down and have a conversation of why something is happening and they understand and it doesn't happen again, great. That's fucking great. That's what you want, right? That's ideal. But sometimes you need to have an actual punishment. I'm not saying beat your kids, but what I'm saying is there needs to be an actual punishment for certain actions, because that's how you teach kids that that's not okay. That's how you teach kids right from wrong. You don't you don't teach kids right from wrong by letting them do whatever the fuck they want to do and telling them, "No, don't do that. Hey, no, we don't do that." That no. You have to be firm sometimes. Sometimes it can just be a conversation, but sometimes it has to be a firm one. And sometimes it needs to be an actual punishment. It needs to be real discipline. Let me let me backtrack. It shouldn't be necessarily a punishment, because that implies a lot of negative things. But it needs to be real discipline. And that was something that my dad said a lot too. My dad wouldn't really use the word punishment. He would use the word discipline. And I understand why he did that, because punishment implies that I'm punishing you because what you did pissed me off. Discipline implies this is the consequences of your own actions. That's how it needs to be. I don't give a shit if you're raising a son, a daughter. I don't care. We need discipline in every situation. There are different forms of discipline. You have to kind of kick your own ass and make yourself stick to a schedule. There needs to be a structure for a child. There needs to be disciplinary actions. That's the word I was looking for. Why is that difficult? Why is that a problem? To use discipline to teach children that we're raising right from wrong, and not teaching them to be a fucking victim when they go out in the real world, like most of us out here are. What I want you to ask yourself is, any time that you've ever been in that victim mentality and stuck to it, where has it gotten you? If you dwell in that victim mentality, where does it get you? Realistically, be realistic, be logical about it. Don't give me this, oh well, it gets me this and this. I promise you, the only time that you ever get anything by playing the victim is because someone wants you to shut the fuck up. Okay? I also want you to ask yourself, whether you have children or not, are you going to raise someone to go out there and be a victim to whatever it may be? Are you going to let your child go out in the world believing that nothing ever is going to happen to them, and then that one day when something does happen to them, now they're really a victim of something probably horrible? Are you going to be that parent? I'm fucking not. I refuse. I got really passionate about that, but I felt that was necessary for the video I saw today. And I knew I was going to go into a rant, and I knew I was going to drag this shit on to almost a 20-minute conversation, because there's a lot to talk about here. And stitching a TikTok just wasn't going to fucking work. So I'm giving credit to Chris Burkett. He's one of the hosts to the To Be Better podcast. Go fucking listen to that podcast. I will see you on the next one. Maybe on a more, not, this wasn't necessarily negative, but maybe on a more happy note. But let's just not raise people to be fucking victims, okay? I'll see you on the next one.